Hello everybody and welcome back. Today I'm going to install, with dubious wisdom, the Carpuride reverse camera. I already have the head unit tablet in the car in the form or installed inside the nav pod there. It's working great. After I bought it I realized, wow, I really should have got the backup camera. So they were good enough to sell me this at a substantially reduced price. And obviously it's going to go in the back. I figure I'll mount it right above the plate. We'll see. The biggest challenge here, of course, is routing the wire to go from the camera to the head unit. So as you can see, I've already started taking the trunk apart, pulling back the carpet. And the first thing you might notice here is that I've taken out the bulb. This is the rear backup light, so this is going to provide 12 volts of power to the camera, and that will tell the camera to turn on. And no matter what you're watching on the head unit, I understand, it will display the backup video like you would expect in a car that has a backup camera. So it's going to be relatively easy to get the 12 volts out of those lines as soon as I determine which is 12 volts. Probably the middle, but a meter will test. I've pulled back carpet going around here. If you've got the CD changer, or I'm sure you have the wiring for the CD changer, I'm pretty sure that is it. I don't have one anymore. I used to. So I'm going to follow this wire and see where it goes. And it does go around. I don't know if you can see that very well, but it does go through the firewall right about here. You can see a little bit of light there at the end of my fingertip. That's from the engine compartment. I've got it open. And what I've got here is I attached the wire for the backup camera to the end of a long Phillips screwdriver. And with that, I was able to get through the firewall. Now the hard part, or one of many hard parts possibly, is you come around to the engine compartment, you can see, oh my gosh, just barely, you should be able to see the phono end of that wire just poking through the firewall. Let me try to zoom in a bit. Whoa, that's too much. Okay, there it is. There she is. So that's the wire that I just pushed through the firewall. It's got the jack on it. And it's just going to be a matter of now pulling that through and routing it through where the cable for the CD changer was. I can see that the cable is bound into a bunch of other wires in a wire loom. You can see it's retained there by that orange twist tie or zip tie going under the airbox. I'm not sure what happens to it on the other side of the airbox. So I'm going to pull the airbox out and see where it goes. All right, so the airbox is out and you can see that the wires, or you may not be able to see, this wiring loom that's coming through the grommet to go to the trunk, comes through under the airbox, disappears behind this pillar, and it actually loops around and comes back up. Can't really see it very well maybe. Actually loops around and comes back up and goes through the firewall behind this canister, which you can't see very well, but my fingers are on it. So I'm going to follow the same path that I took. You can see I've got the cable pulled out from the trunk now, relatively unscathed, I hope. And one more. Yeah, I have to take a close look at that jack. Well, the main thing is that the wire is there. If I wreck the jack, I can always put a new one on. Well, let's see if we can get this through the next bulkhead. Right, so here we are in the back of the car. I got the top trim piece taken off. That just lifts off. And then the trim piece behind the seat pops off. You can see there's 4 places where it's held in, that being one of them, one in each corner. Now I know from previous experience, and also these wires running along the bottom, hang on, those wires running along the bottom, that this this right or left-hand side trim piece is going to come off. It looks like it's just held on by a couple screws. So I'm going to get started on that. All right, got that panel off, and sort of bringing back the memories of when I first did the tablet. Actually, I first did it, I put an iPod in, and I got the USA spec iPod to Honda adapter. You can see right here, model PA11 Hon. The iPod's still connected. I don't use an iPod. So the USA spec unit has 3 inputs on the right-hand side, left and right aux input, and then the bottom one is for an iPod, and then on the left is the cable going to the head unit. So the head unit will tell the USA spec that, hey, you're listening to CD6, and CD6 means aux input. I believe CD5 is a CD or is the iPod. Okay, so back in the engine bay with the airbox removed and this little tank just disconnected and slid out of the way, I got access to the grommet going through into the passenger compartment, and I was able to stick my wire through there. And if you come around to the inside of the car, you can see, with some luck, maybe not, maybe, the grommet for this on this side is way back in there. I don't know if you guys can see it. You will scratch your hands all the crap. It's really tight. Hopefully you're smarter than me and can find out a better way to do it. Anyway, the wire is now inside the passenger compartment, so I think the hard part is done. I'm hoping this wire is actually long enough. I think it should be. Yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead now and follow the cables that I had installed, or used rather, for the original installation of the iPod, and follow this one, and it goes all the way to the through the center console armrest and into the head unit area. So for the rear end where the camera goes, I've just got the camera hanging down for now, but if you reach up under here, right where the corner of the license plate is actually and up, you'll feel a pair of wires going into the trunk. That's the power for your plate light. So if you come around and take a look, so now we're looking down inside the trunk. Here's a pair of wires. There's actually 2 pairs, excuse me, and I fed through the lead for the camera. Here's the other end. This red one goes to the backup lights to tell the camera to turn on, provide power, and then this guy hooks right into here. So this back end of the car is relatively simple. All right, so dismantling of the interior continues, much to the chagrin of my wife, I'm sure. You can see I've got my cables. My cable to the camera is here, and I need to feed it up the stack so that it comes out behind the center console, the tablet, which I've already removed. I'm going to see if I can feed it up behind the stereo. If not, I'll remove that too. And of course, once you pull out the climate control unit, make sure you take a look at that. An eternal sports mind for you. Isn't that great? Hooked it up just to see if it was going to work before I, routed everything 100%. And sure enough, that's the back of my garage. Anyways, that's encouraging. Okay, project's coming along nicely. I've got the interior up front mostly put back together. I don't think you need to see that. This here is the wire leading to the camera. I'm in the trunk right now, obviously. And I just wanted to zip tie that line up a little bit, make it look a little bit nicer. Tuck it away. Some extra connectors I can put in front of it, I suppose. And yeah, when we come around here, we've got the backup power indicator or power lead that is going to get spliced into my reverse light. I'm going to get put a wire tap on this and hook that up. And that'll trigger the head unit to display the backup. And as far as mounting, I'll use the double-sided tape or tiny screws that comes with it and move it more to the center. Theoretically, you're not supposed to block any part of your license plate in Ontario, but I don't think people are going to mind too much since they can still see the ID. Anyways, that's where we are now. Back inside the trunk, you can see that I've now put a tap on the green and black power line. Green and black power line that goes to the backup bulb, and then tapped into it and taken the red wire that comes from the camera. So that's the signal wire to tell the camera that you're in reverse, and so the head unit will display the backup camera image. Here at the back of the car, I've mounted the camera to the upper right hand corner of the license plate where Ontario stickers used to be. We don't use them anymore, so I said why not. It doesn't obscure any lettering on the plate, so it should be okay for any cops that might see it. The only issue is now that since the plate is tilted a little bit up, the camera is also tilted a little bit up, and despite the fact that there is a little bit of range of motion, it doesn't really go down far enough, at least I don't think so, because it draws the parking lines on the screen when you're in reverse, and they don't really look right. They look like they're up in the air, so I think I need to lower that a bit, and I might just end up doing that by putting the shim in behind the camera, or possibly from the whole license plate at this point. Other than that, the installation is done and seems to work. I'll just pop it back inside the car and take a look. Here I'm inside the car and I've got navigation up, pretending I'm on a trip or something. And as soon as I pop into reverse, you can see that the camera switches on. Those road lines, I think, need to come down by tilting the camera to point down more at the road. We'll see when we get an actually on a road and not in my garage, but it might need some tweaking there. And then when I come out of reverse, we're back to where we were. So, looking really good, working really well. Very happy with how it turned out. That's it for now.